Okay, so now we're going to show you some exercises for the hand, the wrist, and the forearm. So the first exercise has to do with finger extension. Basically, you're exercising the finger doing this. Okay, this tends to be ignored. A lot of people, they tend to focus on the gripping aspect of the hand, and that is important, but we must also deal with the opening aspect of the fingers, like this. So what you can do, just get a rubber band. It doesn't have to be this thick, okay? It all depends on your strength levels. So take the rubber band, hold it like this, and you open, okay? This will deal with the extension muscles, okay? That's opening the hand. Now we come to the gripping movement, which is the opposite of the opening movement. You can take either a tennis ball, or you have one of those grip training balls that you can find at the pharmacies, which are like a jelly-like substance. They come in different consistencies. However, for this demonstration, we will use the tennis ball. So you hold the tennis ball in the hand and you squeeze as hard as you can for a couple of seconds, and you release. Squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. Okay, so now we come to exercises that deal with wrist flexion and wrist extension. You use a dumbbell. It doesn't have to be 4 pounds. It can be heavier or it can be lighter depending on your strength levels. So for the wrist flexion exercise, place the hand on the thigh. Here you have the dumbbell. If you're doing rehabilitation, it's best to have the wrist in this position, not in this position. So you start here, curl up, and back to the neutral position. Curl up, flex, back to the neutral. Curl up, back to the neutral position. What you don't want to do is to let the dumbbell take the arm down like this, because you're going to injure the ligaments right here, okay? Starting position, ending position, flex for a second, and you come back to the neutral position. The opposite, of course, will be like this. Turn the hand over. Again, you're in the neutral position here. You don't start here or you don't end here. Start here, up, flex, back to the neutral position. Up, contract, back to the neutral position. Okay? And you do these for the required amount of repetitions as directed by your therapist. Okay, so here is a supplemental exercise. Again, you can do for the wrist flexion and extension. You can hold a broom handle. Hold it in this position here. Handle is parallel to the floor. Up, using this muscle right here. Back to the neutral position. Up, flex, back to the neutral position. For rehabilitation purposes, don't let the broomstick take the wrist down to this position, or else you're going to end up straining the ligaments right there. So this will be your starting position, ending position. Start, end. Okay, of course, the further and further you are away from the center, the heavier and heavier it will feel. So if this position here, you think you're struggling, what you can do, you can adjust the hand. Okay, up, down, up, and down. You can now reverse it. Same principle, neutral position, up, and down. Up and down. Okay, once again, don't let the broomstick take the wrist down to this position, because you may end up injuring here. Start position, ending position. Okay, so now we're going to do some rotational exercises for the wrist. Okay, remember the wrist does not only do this or this, it's also rotation. Okay, so here we are. Vertical, back to horizontal. Vertical, back to horizontal. Of course, if it feels too heavy, move the hand towards the center and down. Okay? Then you flip it around, and now you're here and down. Up and down. What you don't want to do is to get straining like that. Okay? This is a bad position to start or end in. What you really want to do is start here and end in this position as well. Up and down. Same goes for the previous position. What you don't want is to be starting in this position here. See that right there? That's bad. You want to start right there. Up and down. Okay, also at times, if the forearm muscles are tight or you're experiencing spasms or pain in the forearm muscles, you can use a tennis ball to perform some massages. Put the tennis ball on a surface where there's friction, not on a smooth surface like this, but where there's friction. Put the tennis ball here. See where the forearm is. Roll. Okay, this is great for tendonitis that some people may develop in there. You have to loosen the muscles. Massage. Roll, yeah. Turn the arm inward. Give some good massage. If you come on a spot here that's extremely painful or a bit more painful than usual, you can stay right there. Give some extra massage. Really release those tight spots on the forearm. Okay, great. Nice. Okay, so part of wrist and forearm rehabilitation may fall on electrical stimulation. So to help to exercise the muscles, electrical stimulation can be used with a machine such as this. Okay, so you see I've connected the pads here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to increase the current now. So I'm pressing, okay, I'm starting to feel it now. Okay, and then you can see there's a contraction. Again, and that is an involuntary contraction. Current is off. It's going to start soon. Then there it goes again. Remember, this is an involuntary contraction. This is great for re-stimulating muscles that have not been used for a while. For example, if you've had a broken forearm and it was in a cast for a number of weeks, remember when the forearm is in the cast, you're going to get muscle atrophy or wasting of the muscle. And this is a great way to re-stimulate the muscle to give it back strength as well as to give it back muscle mass. This is in no way a substitute for proper forearm exercise. It is used as a supplementary method for forearm rehabilitation.